because it goes from my groin to below my knee. And even the doctors have said it's a massive, aggressive blood clot. You're living with something inside your body that can kill you at any moment.
Go where you want to go, do what you want to do.
My life was very active. I worked out all the time. I was a personal trainer, right? Not active personal trainer, but I am certified. Right? So I'm very big into health and eating right, and I don't drink, I don't smoke. You know, I don't eat meat. I've always been very active, like even working as shipping, receiving. You know, you're in a trailer all day, and you're always lifting and moving, and so I was always very, very active. The company I was working for was cutting hours because of COVID. So they kept cutting hours and kept cutting hours, and finally I just said to them, I can't work for you anymore. It's costing me money now to come to work. Like gas is going up, and I can't afford to work here. So I looked for another job, and all the jobs that I was qualified for required shots. So I reluctantly booked my appointment for my first one, which I got in, what was it, July? Oh, May. I got it in May. And I ended up getting my new job in August. And then they questioned about having 2 shots. So I had booked my second shot, which I got in, actually July. Because when I went for my interview, they questioned about it. So I ended up getting my second shot in July, and I started work August the 3rd, I believe, or 2nd. I started. Like I even used to talk to my brother about it and say, my leg's really sore, and my calf's kind of swollen. And we kind of joked because we said, well, you're on a forklift for 9 hours a day, right, out of a 10-hour day. And with the right foot, you're constantly pressing the gas, pressing the brake. And we kind of joke thinking, you're building up your calf muscle. It's sore because you're using your foot 1,000 times a day, right? And then it started to feel a little bit worse. And then I started thinking it was sciatica because it kind of felt like it. And so I was doing stretching for sciatica nerve, right? And nothing was helping. And my last day of work was Friday, February the 4th. And I got up the Saturday, and my leg was sore. And I got up Monday morning, and I literally couldn't walk. I could not stand up Monday morning. And that was February the 7th.
So you called in?
I called in sick. I got myself to the hospital. They did some ultrasounds. And originally the doctor said it looked like a calf sprain, which I thought, okay, like if I'm using that foot constantly, maybe I have strained it, right? After they did the ultrasound, I was sitting with the doctor, the emergency doctor, and he said, he started talking to me. He said, I'm going to put you on blood thinners and da-da-da-da. I said, okay. And I said, what about work? He said, oh, you can go right back to work. He said, go. And I said, how am I supposed to go to work when I can't walk? And he said, okay. He said, well, I'll give you a week off. And I said, okay. So then I went to my doctor, and we decided that, he said, you know what, I'm going to give you another 4 weeks off. Let's see how it goes. And then I had to go back to my doctor because now my calf wasn't just swollen. My ankle and my foot were like a balloon. So I went back to him and saw him, and so anyways, then they gave me an appointment with an internal specialist, and he gave me 6 months off. So I've been off work since February the 7th because it goes from my groin to below my knee. And even the doctors have said it's a massive, aggressive blood clot. You're living with something inside your body that can kill you at any moment, right? Because they call the clot a silent killer, right? So when I went to my internal specialist, and he gave me another 6 months off, and he told me, he said, Mike, he said, if you bump this leg or hit it and a piece breaks off, you're dead. And because you're on blood thinners, he said, and you're working out on a farm, he said, you've got 3 minutes till you bleed out. if you cut yourself bad enough. So, I mean, that, you know what? You walk out of the doctor's office and you just don't know what to think. Like, life's over, right? Like, it's just like I live every day now in fear of dying. One, because if you get an odd pain in your body that you haven't had before, you think a piece is broken off and maybe it's doing something, right? So this is how you live now. Right? Originally, they said that I did ask a doctor about it being caused by the shots. And it was very interesting because he gave me this smile of, I hear you, but he can't say anything. Like, that's the impression I got from him, right? And then he just smirked at me and kind of shook his head, and then we went on to talk about other stuff. The way it was explained to me was that, you know, me sitting on the forklift for 9 hours a day, it was like somebody taking a 9-hour flight and getting off the plane and having a blood clot, right? Which, that's how it was explained to me. And I did ask one other internal specialist from Barrie about it, and he was animate that it wasn't. He said absolutely not. So he didn't even want to discuss it. Like, that was no, end of story. So it's like when I went to the hospital on February the 7th, I was asked to come back February the 9th because they wanted to do an x-ray of my chest to make sure it hadn't gone into my chest, clot. And when I got in there, the emergency doctor on call that day said that she was going to set me up with internal specialist. Well, that was February the 9th. 6 weeks later, I got a phone call. She said, I'm just calling to set up an appointment. Dr. So-and-so gave you, I recommended you to us. And I said, that was 6 weeks ago. And she goes, yeah. And I said, why is this taking so long? And she said, oh, we're not an emergency outlet. I meant like an emergency office. And I said, but my life is an emergency. Like, I said, this has been 6 weeks. And she said, no. She said, we're not an emergency office. And I kept saying, but my life is an emergency. I have a massive blood clot. And you're calling 6 weeks later. Like, that, yeah, it's very, very frustrating. And that's the other point. Like, I'm a new grandfather. Right? My grandson just turned a year in June. Thank you. But, you know, the frightening part is, I don't know if I can babysit him. Because of this. Like, what if something happened to me when I was babysitting? So you can't be the grandfather that you want to be. Right? No, I had an operation when I was 27. Major operation on my stomach. But that was when I was 27. But other than that, no, I've had no real issues. Because my insurance company wanted that too. They wanted a medical history of my prescriptions that I had to give them. Because they thought the same thing. They thought that I had this before, and now I'm just claiming it. Right? And now I have a swollen thyroid. So I have to go for ultrasounds for that. That's brand new. That's brand new. So one day I was taking off I have to wear a compression sock for the blood clot. And I was taking the compression sock off, and I guess my nail clipped the skin on my ankle, and it bled a bit. And when it ran down my foot, I kind of looked at it, and it was this very dark, purpley blood. And when I went to wipe it off my foot because it was running down it, it was like honey. It's like, it was so sticky, and I just remember looking at it thinking, this is really weird. And plus I have electric shocks that run up and down my leg. Sometimes it'll only be the calf, sometimes it'll only be the inner thigh, and sometimes it'll be right up the leg. And it's like somebody's got a bare wire, and they're zapping you with it. Sometimes it'll hit and it'll put you through the roof. Like, it's just, absolutely excruciating. And I'm a doer. Like I don't rely on other people to do for me. I like to do my thing, and if something needs doing, then it gets done. But nowadays, I can't.
You know, if we don't hear from him, we're concerned. So we try and get in touch with him whatever way we can, even to the point where we've contacted his next door neighbor. And if we don't hear from him, we'll ask her and call her and ask her to check on him, make sure that he's okay, or if his to see if his truck's in the driveway.
You know, I can't do a lot. I paddleboard. I row bike. And you can't do that anymore. Like your life becomes very cautious about what you do. Like I've been told I can go to the gym and work out upper body. I can't. I can walk on a treadmill. I can go for walks. But yeah, so now your workout becomes half your body. So yeah, it limits your life. It changes it. Well, it changed it completely.